top 5 league winners for the rest of the season.
So to clarify what you mean is guys who are going to be on the rosters of teams that win their championship in season long.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
A good example would
Most
be
likely all these are already owned.
the example would be like James Robinson last year.
Yeah.
Like he won a lot of people's leagues.
Right.
Okay, so
because he was an undrafted guy.
Let's all
Debo
say
Samuel.
Okay, so yeah, let me
Debo Samuel?
let
He's
me-
not going to play the next 2 weeks.
I think though in the playoffs.
Wait. So this is how we're gonna do it. I'm gonna say number 1 spot. We're all gonna say a player. That's what we're gonna do. Okay. All right, Matt, go.
Okay. So
Number 1 spot.
My number one.
Number 1. We're
Maybe
gonna
I
do
won't-
5 of them.
We're gonna do 5. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna put Debo in my number 1.
If we all list one, we'll just do 3.
Okay, let's just do 3.
The reason I like Debo Samuel, I'll put him. Okay, so let's start at 3. My number 3 will be Debo Samuel.
Okay,
we'll
there you
start
go.
at
That's a good
And
way to do it.
The
All
reason
right.
I like Debo Samuel is he is hurt for the next 2 games. If he comes back healthy, so I'm going to put a condition on it. He was drafted late enough that I feel like you can have really good players surrounding him on a team.
Good.
Yeah, he could be a number 3 wide receiver on some teams. Like you could have teams that have Diggs, Devontae Adams.
So he's going to give you 0 points the next 2 weeks.
I understand, but
Right, he's gonna. Yeah, but I see what he's saying.
Debo
Samuel's.
If you
he's
are good enough to make the playoffs, in the playoffs, he's going
you got
to.
two more
What
weeks
if you're fighting
of-
to make the playoffs and now you're
Wait,
missing a receiver?
when did Cuz get to make all these conditions? I thought our thing was our 3 favorite guys that are likely to end up on championship teams.
My point is,
Let me fight for this.
Well, hold on, no, real
I
quick.
feel like guys that have Debo Samuels on their team drafted him late enough that they still have enough players.
Right, they're probably
They're
positioned.
probably
pretty well.
positioned that they're going to make the
Yeah,
playoffs.
yeah.
And when he comes back healthy, I think he's going to be on a lot of championship teams.
Could be.
Now,
What if he misses more time?
This is my list. Tell us.
That's
your
all right.
list.
It's all right.
Why does he attack my list? Like,
Wait,
why don't you just give
I'm
us
just
your
making
great
the other.
fan-
I'm just
No,
making the
so
other
show-
argument. I'm just making the
show
other
me
side of
the
the
other
argument.
players that I'm not thinking of that you're thinking of.
let me fight.
I'm just making the other side of the
I think
argument.
Debo Samuel's a good. I think that's he.
He's a very good player. I'm
And
just
I think
making
that
the other
he's a
side of
good
the
ex-
argument.
I think he's a great example because you have to look at players that are drafted late, right? Because let's say that Henry was still healthy. Great, you hit number 5 at healthy. But the way leagues are won are hitting number 7, 8, 9, 10 picks, right? So if you
Sometimes.
could get Debo late enough, man, I'm literally gonna quit talking if you're gonna argue with everything I say. Like he asked me a question, I'm answering it. You're literally attacking every word that comes out of my mouth. So like you're even admitting that it's not even that bad of number 3, and you're so.
Well,
tell me who you like, because I don't know why you're attacking everything.
I'm just making both sides of the argument.
I don't think that's but why do you need to make such a strong argument against?
Because
my
I
number,
can see both sides of
my number 3.
I can see both sides. That's all.
Not number 1, number 3, most likely player to end up on a championship team. Okay, share with me yours because I'm gonna be ultra aggressive on whoever you say.
Here's my number 3.
Okay.
It
Go.
better be a damn good one.
My number 3 is related to your number 3.
Okay,
It's
so
Elijah Mitchell.
I don't know. Actually, I think that's probably better than mine. But I would put him at like number 1. Like
I think there's plenty of good ones.
Okay.
I don't think Debo's a bad one. I
do think Elijah Mitchell's better than mine, but he will show up on my list higherly ranked.
Sure, I think he's a great one.
Yes.
I think he's going to benefit from Debo being out the next few weeks.
Yes, I think if you have him on your team right now, I think
you can
you're
also
gonna
argue
do
that
very well with him off the
Elijah Mitchell is probably the best waiver wire player of the year, right?
I would agree. I think you trump me, but I think you should be trumping me with the number 1 and not a number 3.
Well, I'm not trying to. Wasn't trying to trump you with a different one. I would just
I'm
make
saying
him.
he is I think I like Elijah Mitchell in this question better than Debo Samuel, but like I'm saying, he would end up ranked in the 1 or 2 slot for me instead of 3.
Sure.
All right, my
he
turn.
may or may
I think
not
what
be.
you're saying is I think you just listed the best one.
Maybe.
Let me say this about Debo. So Debo, he's been producing solidly. Actually, I'm gonna pull it up.
Because Elijah Mitchell went undrafted in most.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was a fancy pickup at like week 1 or 2.
Yeah, he wasn't even projected as the backup of the team. He was
didn't
like the
even
third string.
He didn't even start week 1, did he? Didn't somebody else start week 1?
Oh yeah, he didn't.
He
start
played.
Week 1.
He played and he had a good game.
I remember the big controversy in week 1 was
Actually, this is a better
Sermon
stat.
Sermon was deactivated.
A lot of people drafted Trey Sermon.
Right, we did.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
Sermon being deactivated was big news to us. So was Sermon deactivated for Elijah Mitchell and somebody else? Because they had another running back that got hurt. Who got hurt?
Mostert. Mostert went down, and everyone thought Sermon would be the guy to take it over. But they liked Mitchell better.
And he looks like freaking Bo Jackson.
Yeah, he looks good out there.
He's hard to stop for
Yeah.
3 or 4 yards. Anyway, I like that one a lot, so I can't.
Yeah.
I won't be ultra aggressive on that one. Now I want to hear your other two.
All right, so let me say this about Debo Samuel. I don't know why he's not pulling up here, but Debo Samuel. So he's scored 20 points multiple weeks. Probably, I think, 9 out of 12. I can't. For some reason, he's not showing up on.
I think
on this
people
stat.
who have Debo Samuel on their team are doing quite well at this point.
You might be right. If you have Debo Samuel, you probably don't need him for the next 2 weeks.
It's a rare situation to where the wide receiver gets both jobs. Where Debo Samuel just this past week, he caught 1 ball.
Yeah.
But he got 20 fantasy points because he ran in 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's a good player. But another thing about Debo Samuel, do you think he's going to be the same player in 3 weeks?
I don't know.
Coming off of his injury.
Fair question. I'm putting my condition on if Debo Samuel comes back healthy.
I don't know why he's not pulling up on this list. I know he's way up here. This is why. I didn't press this button. Let me see here. Okay, so Debo Samuel, he's number 2 overall, right behind Cooper Kupp with 204 fantasy points.
Oh yeah,
on the
he's
season.
been a stud.
I
mean, your point is good that like if you have Debo Samuel, you're probably in a really good spot.
I think he
right.
His average draft position versus Kupp is probably 2 or 3 rounds lower.
Oh yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Right?
They both they were both
I don't know.
low.
I took Ayuk a lot. I mean, Kupp was going in all our high stakes league. Kupp went late second, early third.
I think I probably
we
drafted
took
Ayuk
we were
over
taking,
Debo.
Yeah, that's what we did in every
Yeah.
league. Literally
everyone did.
every
For the most
league.
part.
Yeah.
And I told you we drafted 8 teams and we had Ayuk on 6 of the 8.
Yeah.
So just think if you got Debo on 6 of the 8 instead of Ayuk.
Yeah, you'd be in a better spot.
Though I
you'd
do
be in
think
a very
Ayuk's
good spot.
another one.
But what if he's not good the rest of the year?
I think Ayuk could be one.
I feel like he's going to come back and be fine.
If we would have done this last year, I would have said Debo number 1. Last week.
Ayuk
Last week I would have said Debo number 1.
Ayuk could be on this list too, by the way.
Right. All right. So we got Debo
for
teams that end up winning the championship.
He was drafted so high though.
I know that's a tough one, but I think he could also be somebody that comes back in the playoffs and has the best games moving forward.
The only way that'll happen is if someone dropped him and then a different team picked him up.
Or
because if you drafted him, you lost games because of it.
Yes, for sure. He put up zeros like in the first 3 weeks.
All right, so we got Debo, we got Elijah Mitchell. My number 3 is James Conner, and the reason why James Conner
a good one
is because
I think you named my 2 and 1. By the way, I think
really.
Yeah, my 2 would be Conner, my 1 would be Mitchell.
The reason why I'm saying James Conner is not just because he's on my dusty team, but because
that's the only reason.
But because
why didn't I ask that question?
But because his matchups starting week 15 are just phenomenal. He's got Detroit, Indianapolis, and Dallas, and then he's got Rams and Chicago before that. Chicago's not really as good as we all.
Chicago's not that great.
Not that great, yeah.
No.
So I mean, he's got a great set of matchups.
I think that's a good one.
Well, so he might not be like the. I mean, actually, he's the running back that scored the most
to hear
touchdowns.
Cuz's 2 or 1. Was Conner on your list?
Yeah. Well, he was on my top 5 list, but he was below 3. So.
Oh, he was.
So he's my number 3. He's got a phenomenal.
Who are the other one that's not going to be mentioned for you? That was 4 or 5. That'd be good.
Josh Allen.
Well, let me finish my comments on Conner. So Conner, like I said, has great matchups for the rest of the season. And even if Chase Edmonds comes back, I don't feel like
that's my only concern on him.
I don't feel like it's really going to affect him much because before that he
gets all the red zone.
He gets all the red zone carries. He's got the most touchdowns among all running backs.
Yeah,
and that's not going to stop. He's on Arizona.
Now he's even like starting to break screen passes.
Yeah,
when Edmonds was
on
healthy,
fire.
Though, we didn't think of him as a league winner.
Right, but he's looking at his stats here. It's rare for him.
I could see him being on a lot of league
points.
winner teams as like a third running back, right? Like
he could be, especially if Edmonds comes back and is not Edmonds of 5 weeks ago.
Who's going to be the early round picks that are going to be league winners teams? That's the thing. It's a lot.
I got one.
So many.
All right. So we're going to stop.
It won't be surprising.
We're going to do number
Cup,
our 2. Our number 2.
Actually, Cup is probably a better one.
Our second place league winner, Matt, start.
Since I'm trying not to mention people that have already been mentioned, but we did talk about.
No, you can. Everyone's on the table.
I want to say that even though I swore to be ultra aggressive because of coming up, that he did such a good job. I think Conner. I think you guys have been really good. I'm going to go with Cup at number 2.
Okay, yeah.
And that's only because I didn't draft him on any team.
I didn't either.
I didn't see him coming.
I didn't either.
His volume is just crazy.
I will
crazy.
Say he was 9,200 in DFS this week, and LineStar was projecting him as the number 1 value receiver. They had him projected at over 30 points. Now, he didn't score that, but his volume is so tremendous that He's just there. His floor is unbelievable.
He's probably the number
You are
one.
100% right. So we're going to play a game here. How many weeks do you think Cooper Kupp has gotten under 10 targets?
One.
None?
I said one.
And one. Yes, it was one.
It was last week.
No, it wasn't last week.
No,
he
he
had
got
10,
over 10.
right? He had
He got
10.
a ton
really?
He tied
yeah.
Odell Beckham.
He just never got.
Week,
He just
week
never
8,
got that
he
big
had
one.
9.
Yeah,
so
I knew
it
he had
was
one with
almost-
9.
It was
I thought it was
almost
last week.
every week.
Yeah.
Kupp's. I think obviously
Kupp's probably the number one on this list.
The great thing about Kupp is he's stayed healthy all season. Right, he hasn't missed any games,
Hasn't missed any games.
and his volume is just.
his volume is there.
Yeah.
It's just.
Oh, yeah.
You're
now
probably.
I don't know who my number one's going to be.
Listen, whoever has Cooper Kupp, they're locked into the playoffs. I guarantee
yeah.
that they have like at most 3 losses.
Yeah. Unless you're my dad in the dad league that we're in.
Does he have him and he's
He
terrible?
has Cooper Kupp. He's at the
I
bottom
guess
of
if
the
you
league.
just really sucked at every other spot.
I don't know what happened, but it happened
That's also
for
a
him.
3-quarterback league, so his 3 quarterbacks are terrible, which is real hard to come
That's
back from.
true. That's true. All right, so Cooper Kupp, number 2 for Matt.
I got my number one. I think.
All right, Josiah, number 2.
Josiah's
All right,
going to tear.
Here's
apart
my number 2. This one's going to be controversial. It's Alexander Madison.
Alexander Madison. All right.
Wow.
I think
Roster him now, huh?
absolutely.
Now Cook has looked all season like he's dragging a leg.
He's been hurt.
He's got the Adrian Peterson.
They're saying
effect.
he's out for 2 weeks. I bet he's out longer. I wouldn't be surprised if he misses.
And if Minnesota's fighting for the playoffs, and
I bet they hold him out to the playoffs.
that's what I'm saying. If Madison's producing, why wouldn't?
Yeah.
I
think-
I like.
And
Minnesota.
when
God,
Cook
I
is
haven't
out,
got- I
when
wanted
Cook is
to
out,
tell
Madison
you-
is an
I wanted to
absolute
hit
stud.
like this button or something.
Yeah, he
And
is.
most teams who get Madison are picking him up off the waiver wires right now.
Right. So yeah, I can see that. Madison's always produced whenever Cook is out, and
Yep.
he's the best, in my opinion, best backup running back you can rely
Yeah.
on. All right, so my number 2 is obviously going to be off the wall. It's what I do, and it's going to be Elijah Moore.
Wow, that's projecting.
That is projecting. This is the reason
In order
why.
for that to be true, he's going to have a big finish to the season.
All right. Well, this is my reason. He's had already 3 different quarterbacks pass to him consecutively, to where in those consecutive weeks he's gotten 20 points 2 out of 3 times. On the down week he got 11 points.
Yeah, he's been good.
And his playoff who he's playing against in the playoffs is Miami, Jacksonville, and Tampa Bay.
Remind me who you said. I forgot.
Elijah Moore.
Okay, no, that's right.
He's had 11 and 8 targets the last 2 weeks.
You're not worried about touchdown share of the 1 touchdown they get every week?
No. He
has looked great, by
He
the way.
has a lot of volume.
I
to
love
deal
Elijah
with.
Moore.
And I feel like with his matchups, and regardless of the quarterback, it doesn't matter. He's most likely a guy that got undrafted in your league, and I think he's going to produce probably top 10 for the rest of the season as far as wide receivers. So I feel
Might be
like
true.
Elijah Moore is my number 2. If you have him, feel proud of yourself because he's going to keep producing.
He's somebody that you could have as a 4th receiver on a team full of
Right. You could have him in your flex and feel very confident. Yeah.
He reminds me kind of who my number 1's going to be, and my number 1 is only based on that you guys have said.
All right, we're going number
Well,
1.
let's hear your number 1.
Matt.
The only reason my number one is because you guys have already said exceptional players that would have probably filled that number 1 role.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mitchell for San Francisco probably is the number
Okay.
1. But I'm going to go Waddle. And I'm gonna
Waddle, all right.
And the reason I'm going to go Waddle is I think Tua is just getting healthier. I think that they are just ramming it down his throat.
They are ramming it
You're
down
now
his throat.
starting to see routes over 10 yards. And
Yeah, for the
Mixon.
first time. That's my
Right.
main concern is will that continue?
But the volume is just
The volume
incredible.
is there.
Yeah.
The volume is absolutely there.
And based on the question of on a championship team, again, Waddle could be your 4th receiver. Like you
Yeah.
easily could have got him in the 9th, 10th.
He's
11th.
probably the 4th receiver you drafted, yeah.
Yeah. So if you hit all your other all your other spots, Waddle's going to be a 20-point guy, I think, from here on out. And in point per reception leagues, he's going to be a 20-point guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
That
gets
one could play out.
several weeks this season.
I
He's
could
gotten
see
over
somebody-
10
He
targets.
seems like a
I
guy
could see
who's getting
somebody
healthier
who,
and healthier.
having a really solid roster, having him in the flex.
Yeah.
He does seem like a guy who's getting healthier
And
every week.
he's somebody in a lot of these ESPN leagues where you only start 2 wide receivers have been available up until just now because people are just now believing.
Right.
So Anyway,
like
I picked Waddle because you guys had picked other ones that I like better, but I do think there's some argument that
there is. I mean, like
I could see a really good roster with him being a number 4 receiver or a flex.
There's been over half the season.
Third receiver.
Over half the season, he's gotten more than 10 targets a week.
Yeah, he's a target guy.
Yeah. All right, Josiah, what's yours?
My number one is
Your
Jonathan
number one.
Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think if you got Jonathan Taylor,
he's the only number 1 pick that stayed healthy, right?
It means he was like a.
Who's the other first round pick that's been healthy all
He was like a late first, early second, right?
I don't think there is one. Is there one?
I mean, we were taking him in the 6th, and then everybody tampered at saying he wasn't going to get. And I thought that I was so mad because it even affected me.
Yeah.
And I took him in a lot. We didn't take him in a lot of leagues that we would have taken. I mean, I literally was not at the start of the season say take Jonathan Taylor over anybody.
Yeah.
And then all the news in the early games was, oh well, he may not get the carries and blah blah blah. And but yes, who else has stayed healthy that was a first round pick?
Eckler?
Maybe Eckler.
Yeah, I think Eckler's played every game.
But yeah, to me the point is if you got Jonathan Taylor, it means you didn't waste your pick on McCaffrey.
You're probably
you didn't waste your pick on Derrick Henry, who's out for the year.
Derrick Henry probably got you several wins.
He probably got you several wins, but he ain't going to win you the championship.
He got me a couple wins.
And honestly, you can even
add
Tyreek Hill to that. Even though he's had a good season at times, Tyreek Hill has, as a first round pick, has been very
fluky,
inconsistent.
Yeah.
Been a little bit more of a bust than Taylor, at least.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce was up on the top of the
list. You didn't take him. You didn't take. I don't know. Zeke,
that made me think of another good one.
Kamara.
And I won't say it until you say yours. But there's
my number one is Cooper Kupp. It's very. I mean, that's. I feel like the volume.
I feel like the one we didn't say is Joe Mixon. Because he went in a lot of third rounds, some fourth rounds.
Yeah, he's been so good.
He's been good.
Dude, he's a monster. I mean, I'm not a huge fan.
I don't like Joe Mixon, but at this point, I just got to chalk it up and say he's good.
Yeah, you just have to suck it up.
We've had several years of not liking Joe Mixon. The last few weeks, it's been frustrating to see how
but Joe
good
Mixon's
he does.
a top 5 pick that was going in the 4th round.
Yeah.
Right?
He's been really good.
He's been really good.
And he's been healthy all year.
And their team is as good as it's ever been. So, I mean,
their offense is good.
Yeah.
They're one of the few offenses capable of putting up 40 points.
Yeah, Bengals.
Which
we could do that.
We
could do that.
Bengals are absolutely in the Super Bowl conversation, I feel like.
Oh, hey.
Right?
In a league.
Bengals?
Yes.
Super Bowl?
In an NFL
They're
where
7-4.
Yeah, in an NFL where there's no dominant team.
Good.
Yeah, their odds are just as good as anybody else's.
I would say so. Anyways, Cooper Kupp is my number one.
They're going to make the playoffs. We can say that for a fact.
Oh yeah, they're going to make the
Bengals
playoffs.
Probably, yeah.
I would say that's a fact.
Cooper Kupp is my number one because of the volume and because of the talent. I mean, so it's an easy pick. It's an easy pick.
His ADP.
Yeah,
I think I agree that Cooper Kupp's the number one.
Nobody took him in the first round. Nobody
did.
Cooper Kupp was like at highest 4th round.
I didn't even get any exposure.
Not in the
to
high
him.
stakes leagues, but in like an ESPN league, I could see he'd
maybe
be a
3rd round, but
yeah,
he wasn't going very high.
No,
I completely. I can't understand why he was off my radar.
Yeah, well, it wasn't just you; it was everybody in the whole
Jamar
industry.
Chase.
Everyone, yeah.
3 weeks ago, I would have said Jamar Chase, but now I'm seeing stats saying that Burrow's throwing interceptions because he's trying to force it to Chase, and they're having trouble getting it to him for some reason.
Yeah, he's struggled the last few weeks, but I don't feel like that's going to keep going.
That's just a quick honorable.
He's still
mention.
good.
I think Mixon and Chase are honorable mentions.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Jamar Chase. I feel like he's gonna have a phenomenal career.
I think your boy James Robinson that we said was on the list last year could be on the list this year too.
Really? I don't know. He was drafted too high probably to be on the list.
Well,
Travis Etienne, I was going higher than Robinson.
All the drafts I did was after Etienne.
James Robinson has a pretty good rest of the season.
We drafted early.
Yeah, that makes sense.
His entire rest of the season: Tennessee, Houston, New York Jets, and then New England at the
if you were drafting when
finish,
Etienne was still healthy, James Robinson could be in this. And I'm just trying to think of some honorable mentions.
Yeah. No, I agree with that honorable mention. He's probably gonna be in a pretty good position to push you into a winning.
You notice we didn't say any quarterbacks. You said
my honorable mention. I said he was on my top 5. But Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen is going to have a fantastic finish to the year.
It's just crazy though, the quarterbacks that are putting up 30 fantasy points, like Tua.
The thing is, the quarterback's been a very inconsistent position this year.
That's what I'm saying. It's like where you're getting all your points.
Since I traded for Tom Brady, I have not gotten a 30-point game out of him. No, it's been like 15 points.
That's just how quarterback
I think I read something that said since Tua comes back, he's been the 2nd-rated fantasy quarterback. Would you ever guess that?
No, not at all.
He's the 2nd best fantasy quarterback.
Fantasy points wise?
Yeah.